Hi, my name is Britton. I'm a Christian who loves YouTube. I watch it all the time. And every so often something happens and I want to talk about it with a bit of a biblical perspective. So, MrBeast is a channel with probably the world's greatest niche. Companies, most often honey, give him large amounts of money to give away to others. And props to the guy, he comes up with some pretty niche ways to get rid of free money. Donating $100,000 to streamers with 0 views? I'm in the wrong part of YouTube. However, there's also been a bit of controversy about his channel. When MrBeast gives money or gifts to the homeless, there's inevitably some grumblings about exploiting the poverty of others in exchange for views. But how does God feel about us getting famous through generosity? Can the Bible tell me? Okay, so despite it being widely reported, including from MrBeast himself, some people seem a little confused, so I'll repeat it here. MrBeast is not giving away his own money. I'm sure now he can drop a lot of money out of pocket and then find a sponsor for the video to reimburse him. But when he gives his mom $100,000, when there's $1 million in a big steel box, the majority of that money is given to him by his sponsor.
Alright guys, before we go any further, I forgot to mention...
I put that fan together yesterday.
This video is brought to you by Quid, and here's an ad for Quid, because they didn't give me all 100,000, but they did give me a good chunk of it, and so shout out to Quid. Please download their app.
He is giving the money away as an advertisement for a company. More on that later. But MrBeast's whole channel is built on the spectacle of generosity. It's in seeing the reactions of people suddenly blessed out of nowhere. And because we, the audience, know intimately the problems in our lives that could be resolved with a lot of money, we share in that emotion even though we're not getting a dime. While the Bible is a huge advocate for radical generosity, it also says this: "So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." That's pretty applicable to MrBeast's whole thing. So I guess this is a call out video now, and MrBeast, you need to stop. You're doing it wrong. Is what I was going to say. No, I wasn't, until I saw this.
Make sure that if you call yourself a Christian, don't be going to a restaurant and not leave a tip. I mean, be generous. Leave a ridiculous tip. Be known as the biggest tipper on the planet, and be known as the person who shows up when in a spirit of generosity and serves people, but also serves them with the money that God has given you to manage. He calls us to do that very clearly.
And this floored me, because for those of you who don't know, that is Dave Ramsey, and he is like the guy. He's the main guy in the Christian financial sector. He's sold a ton of books. He's got a 3-hour weekday radio show. And why is there a Christian financial sector? Well, we'll talk about it. But my point is, Dave Ramsey's brand has always been that his money management advice works no matter what you believe. But it's steeped in biblical principles. So how he can sort of just gloss over Matthew in terms of keeping your giving a secret is really odd. And to make things even more confusing, look who the interviewer is.
Well, thank you, Pat. It's good to be with you again.
Hey, listen, I liked your book. You've done a good job here.
Yeah, that's Pat Robertson from the 700 Club. Someone who's picked up a Bible a few times in his life. And this interview is taking place on CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network. So what is it? What's going on here? Personally, I think ContraPoint said it best.
Look around you, Tabby. Try to understand what's happening to the world. The 21st century is an aesthetic century. In history, there are ages of reason and there are ages of spectacle, and it's important to know which you're in. Our America, our internet, is not ancient Athens, it's Rome. And your problem is you think you're in the forum when you're really in the circus.
What can I say? There's just something about where we are in history where actions scream for attention. Christians are being encouraged to make a spectacle of giving, just like corporations are already doing. I know there's gonna be some pushback from Christians who might say, no matter what MrBeast personally believes, he doesn't thank God in his videos. He thanks a company. we have to be just as loud and notorious to counteract his secular giving, because all blessings come from the Lord, and people need to know that. And I get where you're coming from, but I think MrBeast is a great example of why God tells us to not just be private, but very private with our giving. Now, I've gone through several of MrBeast's comment sections, and I was hoping the comments would be aspirational. More than that, I was expecting to see a lot of people posting about how MrBeast has inspired them to give more themselves, which would kind of legitimize him broadcasting his generosity, just for the trickle-down effect of other people also doing good deeds. And maybe his viewers do feel that way, but I have to say, most of the comments I read were all praising MrBeast for being such a good guy. MrBeast for president, MrBeast is the best YouTuber, etc., which seems like an inevitability if you're famous for generous giving. But there are plenty of people, Christian and not, who have been famous for similar good works, but who were eventually crushed by the burden of it. And avoiding this notoriety is one of the key reasons God gives for your good works to stay secret. As it says in the verse, to be honored by others is the thing we should try and avoid. And for now, to his credit, MrBeast seems to be taking his fame with a lot of humbleness and gratitude.
So this is MrBeast, Jimmy.
Yep.
MrBeast has one of the biggest channels on all of YouTube.
I don't feel like it, but I guess, it's kind of just like numbers on a screen.
But even though it seems to be working out for him, I'm still hesitant to throw out Matthew 6. If MrBeast has the God-given ability to handle fame and money without burning out, maybe we as Christians should just consider it a unique spiritual gift that he possesses. Because I don't think MrBeast being famous for giving is incompatible with us directly following God's will in our personal lives. MrBeast can give away money as a big, grandiose form of advertisement, and we can be radically generous without broadcasting it. And there's no need for anyone to try and shout down or discount what the other is doing. As it says in Luke 9:49-50. Master, said John, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him, because he is not one of us. Do not stop him, Jesus said, for whoever is not against you is for you. However, I do have one big criticism of MrBeast, which I'll explore in a following video, and I can't wait to hear his Stan's opinion of it. I'm just so excited.